loitering in areas near the forest and in the high road. It really is a problem. And local residents want me to stress this, that if these men were, let's say, Eastern European or white immigrants, and this was happening, they would still be protesting. This is not about colour or race in any way. And this is why people are so angry that these so-called anti-racism mob are turning up and inflaming what have started as peaceful protests, Dawn. I've stood there with elderly people, disabled, school kids and schoolgirls in school uniform. And we've stood there chatting about how they are worried about their communities. And look, I don't want to demonise all asylum seekers. As I've said on many videos online, it only takes a small percentage of these men, and they are only men that are housed in this hotel, to have bad intentions, and a whole community can be rocked and sort of turned upside down. This is not about race. This is what I want to say. People there's more protests planned. I find out through local mums and through people coming into the pub. People are trying to say that I'm involved in these protests. I'm not. I go as a local father. I go in peace, and I go really hoping for common sense that this hotel is closed down. The head of our local council wants this closed down. Our local MP wants this closed down, and it is on safety concerns. That says everything. What I hate is, look, I've got thick skin. You can call me far right for whatever reason you want to do that. I'm not. You can call me it. I put myself online, and I've got to expect name calling and abuse. But your average mother, your average grandparent, a father that's just worried about their girls should not be labelled far right for wanting this hotel moved away. And look, one thing as well, when I say to people online, close this hotel down, and they go, yeah, but you're just going to move it onto another town, another problem. All these hotels are not near schools. This is hundreds of meters away from a school. And I've lost count now at how many parents of children at that school have said, look, we've had a problem. I don't want to go on camera or whatever, but we've had a problem. And I wouldn't be putting my head above the parapet here and taking all this abuse and whatever if I wasn't worried about local school children. And the community, is in despair, Dawn. And what didn't help at the protest, we had a protest last week that largely went okay. It was spoilt by a couple of idiots at the end. This time, for whatever reason, the police thought it was okay to march up these anti-fascists or whatever they were. Many of them had their faces covered. Many of them were being aggressive. I've got it on video. And then it just erupted. And then what happened, because of this TikTok generation and social media, it goes around that there's a big problem in Epping. And people were coming from Harlow, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, from neighbouring towns, gangs of kids with face masks on, now ready. And it wasn't part of that protest. This is more sort of anti-establishment anger and anti-police behaviour that we've seen in many sort of protests and riots. Back in, I remember, was it 2011, the Tottenham riot? Many of the people and the youngsters that come out late into that were not causing that trouble because of the initial problem. They was coming out because they could get at police, they could cause trouble, they could get a buzz out of doing that behaviour. And that's what we see Sunday night in Epping. And that sort of behaviour does not represent good people of Epping, residents that are really, really worried and really scared about, the further problems from this hotel and for the safety of those asylum seekers there. And as I said, it's a small group that have been causing these problems.
Okay.
The safety of the majority of those people there is paramount, and I think they have to close it, Dawn.
Okay, Adam, just to give it a bit of background there, one of the asylum seekers there from Ethiopia has been charged with sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl, an offence he denies. But as you say, this started with families, women, grandparents, children, worried about their safety. So how do you feel, you're a local resident as well as a local businessman, how do you feel that it's you are the ones that are being blamed for this? You're the racists, you're the ones being concerned. How do you feel about that when basically, as you say, you have got women and children there simply worried for their safety?
Well, I'd like to say I think there's a lot of antagonists online that want to try and paint people like myself and normal people of Epping as bad people for being worried about this. As I said, if these were white migrants from Ukraine or Albania or wherever, Eastern European, and this behaviour was happening locally, myself and the local residents would be at that hotel protesting as we were.
Okay.
And look, I've just been told a couple of hours ago there are a big group of women and children that are protesting at the next one and standing together, like 30 or 40 of them, to say we are not far right, we are just scared. And that's going to send a powerful message.
Okay.
And I just hope that I think the whole point of this segment is about, you know, is there going to be race riots or riots throughout the UK this summer? I think a lot of this anger is against the Labour government and against people in power. And I think, you know, it's going to take any sort of spark just to create this anger. And again, with this TikTok generation and social media, as soon as people see trouble somewhere, they think they could go and get involved and there'd be no consequences.
So you are fearful that... Go on. You are fearful that we will see a summer of riots as more and more people get angry and then obviously rent a mob, hijack it.
I hope not. And this is one thing, I don't justify violence in any way. And you know me, Dawn, people know me. We do not want to see this on the streets of Epping. What we see Sunday night was disgusting, or this week was disgusting. That's not in our name. But I fear little incidents happening all over the country it's just gonna be the spark needed for people to have, you know, I've had enough. And I don't even think it's just about these hotels, Dawn. It's about being taxed heavily. You know, their future's not looking bright. There is an anti-establishment anger out there. And I hope not, but I think we could be seeing that, yeah.
OK, Adam, thank you very much for joining us today. That is our businessman and local